Come in. Hello, Mr. Walker. I'm Miss Mead, but you can call me Abigail.
Please, call me Rob, or Private Walker, not Mr. Walker. There was no room for formalities in the service, and the same goes here. I gotta say, this room looks real familiar.
We get that a lot. Now to the application process. I'm going to ask you a few questions about yourself, and you're going to answer them as honestly as possible. Are you comfortable with this?
Yeah, just give me a sec. Okay, go ahead.
Question number 1. Do you curse often? And remember, you're being tested on honesty.
No, ma'am. My mom and pa were always hanging over my shoulder with a bar of soap to make sure I never did.
Did you always love your mother and father?
Sure, of course I always loved them.
Was there ever a time during the war when you lost your faith in God?
Doubted, yeah. But I never lost my faith in him. Is there some special way you want me answering these questions? Because this just doesn't feel right.
I'd asked you to answer them as honestly as possible, and that's what you've been doing. Next question. How many Vietnamese natives did you kill, rape, and/or torture while you were on your tour?
Excuse me?
Would you like me to rephrase the question, Rob?
I understand it, it's just... You have to understand that I was only 19, and they just killed my best friend Barnes. They took the rest of my squad 21 or so miles from the base of Choulet. They threw us all into a big underground cage, and I tried to get my hand on one of the guy's guns, but before I could get my finger on the trigger, he grabbed my arm and he twisted it around, and then he pinned me against the cage. Then one of his buddies came in and then he dragged me to the shack. He threw me down on my knees and he just stared at me. By then, a couple of his pals had come in, and then they brought this other guy from my squad, Jones, with them. Then the main one, Brown Eyes, takes a revolver from a special crate near him. He looked at me, then drew the gun against his forehead and pulled the trigger. He gives me the gun. Then I place it towards my own head, realized that they'd shoot me if I didn't. 1 in 5. Then Brown Eyes takes it. He gives it to Jones. Jones is trembling, and he can't even hold the gun straight. 1 in 4. Brown Eyes looks at me. But then he gives the gun to Jones. Jones is trembling, and he can't even hold the gun straight. One of the guys are about to hit Jones again, but then I grab the gun and I aim it at Brown Eyes. 1 and 2. My vision starts fading, but then I pull the trigger. Brown Eyes falls, and then nothing. The next thing I know, some white medic finds me, and now I'm here.
I'd asked if you'd ever killed, raped, and/or tortured anyone. Did you?
No. The only confirmed kill I had was Brown Eyes. I was never cruel to any of the natives.
Were the members of your squad cruel to the natives?
No. We were all good men. If it hadn't been for that draft,
Thank you. But you've already answered the question. Have you always been faithful to your wife?
My wife, Miss Mead, is the most cherished thing in the world to me. Not a day went by, whether it was at home or in Nam, that I didn't think of her. I don't know if I could ever live with myself if I ever did wrong by her.
Nicely put.
What does Ada have to do with any of this?
Come in.
What kind of sick joke is this? I killed this man back in Vietnam.
And shortly after you killed him, his friends killed you. And now you're here. That's the way things work in purgatory. There you go, Mr. Nugent. Sorry for the delay. Have a good time in heaven.
How could he get into heaven? He's a Viet Cong, for Christ's sake.
He answered my questions honestly. Truth and confession overcomes all sins.
Did I answer your questions honestly?
You know the answer to that.
What's going to happen to me?
For the time being, you're going to hell.
Ada, will I ever see her again?
Yes and no. Goodbye, Rob.
Ada. Come in. Ada, what are you doing here? She said I was going to hell. What are you doing with that gun? Ada, stop this. This isn't you. Ada, stop. You don't know what you're doing. Ada!